Good afternoon. This afternoon we're going to draw the model that's before you using CabWriter. But before we get into the actual drawing, I just want to walk you through this and show you some of the tricks and also some of the types of scenes that you will want to create when you're creating a CabWriter model. So let me start with a few things here that are obvious. First of all, the refrigerator, oven, hood, dishwasher were not drawn by CabWriter. In fact, they were brought into this model from the warehouse, the SketchUp model warehouse. You will find all kinds of appliances in the warehouse that you can use in your model to sort of decorate it and make it more pleasing and appealing to your prospective client. You'll notice I put all of the appliances that I brought into this model on an appliance layer, which I can get rid of. The countertops are also not drawn, at least at the moment, by CabWriter. In the future they will be, but I have those on a separate layer and you can remove them. The floor is also something that you can draw using standard SketchUp tools. The floor is not drawn by CabWriter. You'll also notice a curved back to the island. At the moment, that's not drawn by CabWriter. That's been drawn using standard SketchUp tools as a custom piece. By the way, I will mention that in the beta release, you will have curved panels and back panels that you can draw using SketchUp. It's just not there at the moment. So I'll take that off. Island back. And lastly, this cabinet up here was drawn as 3 cabinets and then modified to look as 1 cabinet with 3 boxes. I'll show you how to do that when we model these cabinets. The walls are drawn in CabWriter, and there are some tools in CabWriter that helps you draw walls. This one right here, Construct Walls, created these walls. And the other thing I want to mention is that there are a number of tools for selecting things. For instance, if I select any part of this cabinet, right-click on it, and say CabWriter Select Cabinet, it will select all the components in that cabinet. Notice that this cabinet is not 1 cabinet, but 2 cabinets. This is a one box cabinet here, this sink, and this is a 2-box cabinet. We're going to draw it as 1 box, or I'm sorry, as 1 cabinet with 3 boxes, just to spice things up a little bit. If I select this one and edit cabinet or select cabinet, you notice this one already is a 3-box cabinet. The glass up here is a simple matter of using the standard materials abilities or tools for making these transparent and slightly colored. Notice outside this one is blue. It's transparent in blue, giving you the feeling of looking outside. These are transparent in green. You could change the color a little bit, but you know, this is just for the purpose of giving the prospective client an idea of what the cabinets will look like. Okay, now I want to show you that CabWriter lays things out in layers. All the base components are prefixed with the name base. All the upper cabinet components are prefixed with the name upper. Within those prefixes you can, well, let me turn off all layers here. I can look at base boxes. Those are just the boxes. I can look at base doors, the drawers, the end panels, face frames, and the ladder base. I can do the same thing with the uppers, and I'll start with the upper face frames, upper end panels, upper drawers. There are no drawers in upper cabinets. Upper doors, upper boxes, and finally the walls. These are basically the CabWriter components, the CabWriter drawn components. The way we're going to start out with our drawing is we're going to draw the walls first. And we're going to put any obstructions on the walls. That obstructions can be anything: plumbing, electrical outlets, windows, doors, you name it. I think in this model, the only obstruction that we're going to draw is this window. There actually is plumbing over here, but we're not going to bother drawing that at the moment. I just want to give you a feel for, how you sort of proceed. CabWriter is designed for you to take a notebook into a prospective client's home along with a tape measure and start drawing walls by measuring the walls in the client's kitchen or wherever and transferring those measurements into SketchUp and draw walls, including all of the obstructions that you have to worry about. Once you've done that, you can sit down with the client and begin actually having a conversation about where cabinets are to be placed, what type of cabinets, and what functionality those cabinets want, the finished material, or any other specifics. You should be able to walk out of a customer's home in a matter of a few hours with a drawn model, just like we will do today. And in fact, as we do this, I will sort of pretend that we're sitting in a client's home and the client's telling me what they want. What we won't do is we won't do a lot of decision making and then remaking decisions and changing our minds and what have you. That would take much too much time on the video. So we're going to assume that the customer knows exactly what they want, and they'll tell me what they want, and I'll draw it that way. Okay, let's discuss scenes very quickly. The scene you're looking at now is called the perspective view. This is really designed for the prospective client. It shows the model in perspective view, which is the view that the eye is most used to seeing. This is the view where we also want to include any texturing or coloring or what have you. I haven't done that in this model much, just the countertops. But you may find that you want to do that. That texturing things with wood grain shows off your product a little better. The next scene we want is one called isometric. This one should show the walls with their obstructions in all of the cabinet parts. This is one where you can take measurements if you want. For instance, if I wanted to just see how long this wall was, I could use the tape measure tool to give me that information. The next scene I typically generate is the cut list export scene. This is a scene where everything that is going to be exported into the cut list is shown. So now all I have to do is do an edit, select all, and now I can say cut list bridge, export to cut list plus FX. And I will get a file with all of my exported materials. The other type of export that we will want to do if we're not going to cut stuff on a table saw is export DXF files. Those are only sheet goods. So in this view, we're only showing sheet goods. And again, we can select everything. And do a file. Cutlass bridge, export to DXF. And once the color goes away, the export files have been created. We're going to want to create a set of shop drawings. And if you're a professional, you'll probably do those in Layout. If you're not a professional, but this is a home project, you'll probably do that in SketchUp. In any case, you want a plan view. And that's what you have here, is a plan view of the base. Plan view base. Notice that the materials are hatched. You can do that in CabWriter. CabWriter permits you to do hatching. And if you look close, all of the hatches are there for the various materials. You want a plan view of the upper, very similar to the plan view of the base. And you probably want a plan view of the combined upper and lower, or anything else that's in your model. There's a number of elevation views you would probably want. In this model, for instance, I want an elevation view of the sink wall, an elevation view of the refrigerator wall, and an elevation view of the island. So when you export these to, for instance, Layout, if you're going to do your dimensioning and labeling and what have you in Layout, creating professional shop drawings, these views are the views you will use. Okay, enough of this. Let's get on with the details. Okay, I've opened up a new empty file here, and the first thing I have to do is save it. So I'm going to save it on my desktop. CabWriter Training. And I'll call it CabWriter Segment 2 Training. Now that I have that saved, the next thing I need to do is open a CabWriter project. So I'll click the icon called Create Project. And when I do, a box will come up with information already set up in it as default information. This information is all mine. This is the way it'll appear in the alpha version. In the beta version, it'll probably be different. But I'm going to give this a name. I'm going to call it the Larson Project. And I'll leave the rest of this the same. We'll just leave my address in here for now. If I wanted to put a description of this project in here, I could put it down here. So I'll just close this now. And I have a CabWriter project. The next thing I'm going to do is draw the walls. And to do that, I'm going to refer back to the original drawing. Okay, my first wall is going to be from the origin 79.5 inches out. So I'll choose my wall tool right here. And I'll just type in 79.5. And notice I get a wall. Its standard height is 96 inches. There you go. And now I'll put the other walls in. And again, I'll go back and refer to the original drawing. That's 4 inches back. And then 46 inches. Now with my wall tool again, notice where the wall is being drawn. Even though I'm dragging along from this point, the wall is being drawn on the ground. And that will always be the case. Okay, now that's 46 inches, so I'll type 46, enter. And I think the next wall is going to start back from this point 4 inches. And let's check the other drawing. That's 4 inches. And it's going to go for 51.5. Notice that I've got it on the wrong side. I want it on this side. I use the control key to switch it. See what I'm doing? All right. I'll type in 51.5. All right, I got one more wall to draw. I'll go back here and look at it again. That's 272.5 inches. All right, I have my 4 walls. And I should put the obstacle in now. The window. I'm going to do that offline just so we save video time here. I'll be back in a moment. So what I did offline is I just put some construction lines in showing me where that window is. So I'm going to select the wall. Notice, by the way, it says layer. It's on the walls layer. Name of the wall is CW Wall 4 because we did 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's CW Wall 4, and that's both its instance name and its definition name. I can edit this just like any component in SketchUp. I can edit this. And so what I'll do now is use the rectangle tool. Punch it out, exit edit component, and delete my guides. Now, a word about deleting guides. I'm going to delete these guides because I don't need them anymore. But as I draw the cabinets, guide points will be created. I no longer want to use delete guides. I can delete specific guides by selecting them and deleting them. But I don't want to use delete guides because it deletes every single guide in the model. And from this point on, I will not use it. All right, the next thing I want to do here is put some construction lines in. Our base cabinets are 24 inches deep. So I'll type 24 on both walls. The upper cabinets start 54 inches up. Basically what that is a countertop height of 36 inches plus 18 inches for the beginning of the uppers. They are 13 inches deep, so I want to bring this line out 13 inches. I'll do the same over here. And if I did it correctly, I'll have an intersection right there. Okay, now I can get rid of this construction line and this construction line. And I'll start my cabinet design here. I'm going to go back and look at the original drawing. I'm going to start my cabinets right here in this corner. I'm going to bring the construction lines in here just so you can see. Notice these construction lines are 24 inches from the wall, just like we drew in our blank file. I have two styles here. This one is a blind style, and this is a butt style. You'll understand what those are as we go along. So this is the butt style, and what I want to know is how wide is this cabinet? 37 3/16. So let me go back to the drawing. First thing I'm going to do is pick my story stick up. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to have a left butt, a left end butt. Now watch what happens when I hit OK. These red triangles came together because it knows how wide a butt style is. I want to go back to my reference drawing just to pick up some more information and explain a few things. This is the cabinet we're going to be drawing. First thing I want to do is get the dimensions. I'm going to zoom in here. So it's 37 3/16. The other thing I want to know is what is that style? Notice this style is a right end opening. Right end opening. That style is used anytime you have something like a stove or dishwasher or something else that's going to fill a blank area. And what that opening style will do is it'll place a style here and also this little filler back here. If I click the control key twice, I get a D on my cursor for dimension. So I'm going to come out here on this line, and by the way, I'm going to look for that on red axis or on-line tooltip. The inference engine is letting me know that I'm on the line I want to draw on. I'm on that line, and I'll type 37 3/16. And my little triangle moves to that point. Now I'll come out here and click on the line. And this time I want a right end opening. All right, now this cabinet that I'm drawing is a one box cabinet. So it's completely defined by its end styles. There's no other styles I have to put in here. So at this point I can terminate my story stick and prepare to specify the cabinet by pressing the end key on the keyboard. And I get this base cabinet attributes dialog box. The depth of my cabinets by default are 24 inches. The thickness of the countertop is 1 1/4 for an overall height of 36. My default lumber or material for face frames and face frames is rough lumber maple. Material for door and door panels is sheet goods, maple plywood. For end panels, it's sheet good maple plywood, and for back panels, it's sheet goods maple plywood. I'm not going to change that. I could if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. I'm going to accept all those defaults. And now it wants to know the first style for box number 1. Notice that these red dots changed to blue. That's telling me that that's box number 1, and it's asking me what kind of box is it. I'm going to choose a standard base with drawers. And I think what I really want here is a drawbank base. And I want 3 draws. I'm going to accept all the rest of the defaults, and I'll click OK. Let's look at this cabinet a little bit. Let's make sure that we have the right dimensions. (37 3/16). That sounds correct. We have 3 drawers. I don't particularly like this wide draw up here, and in fact that's not exactly what the reference drawing has. It has 2 drawers here. We also have this thing sticking over here. What is that? Well, that's the toe kick, and this extends so that it'll meet the toe kick for whatever cabinet we might put here. So I think what we want to do is we want to edit this cabinet. Now, how do we edit a cabinet? Very simple. Right click on any part of the cabinet. Come down here to CabWriter Edit Cabinet. Now it wants to know if I want to change the left style, and notice it's pointing at the left style with these red triangles. And I don't want to change that. I want to keep it the same, so I'll say next. Now it's pointing at the right style. It wants to know if I want to change that, and I don't. Now it's asking if I want to change any of the cabinet attributes, and I don't. So I say OK. Now here is what I want to change. Notice, by the way, it says modify box selector, and notice this is a 1 box cabinet, so these blue triangles are telling me this is the box that I'm working on. What I want to do is I want to change this to a combo base. What the combo does, it's a drawbank combo base, and what a drawbank combo base is, the top draw will be 2 draws. They'll be narrower than the other 2 if I choose 3 draws. And that's what I'm doing. I'm going to choose 3 draws, and what this really means is 3 levels of draws. And the top one, because this is a combo, is going to be 2 draws. So let's say OK. And there we go. I've just edited the cabinet, and I now have my 2 draws. All right, let's get on to the next cabinet we're going to do here. Remember that this was a butt style. Well, there's a style that goes along with that I'll show you now. Let's go back to my story stick. There's a blind style. Butt styles and blind styles go together. Whenever you have one, you should have the other. So I'm going to choose a right end blind. And notice it knows the correct dimensions for that. All right, I'm going to go to my reference drawing for a moment. Now my reference drawing, in order to get this dimension of this cabinet, I'm going to have to rotate this a little bit. I'm going to go here. (26 3/4). And notice it's a standard base with draw, 26 3/4. Let's go back to the new drawing. All right, so I hit Control twice to get me the dimension tool, 26 3/4. And now I will click here. Now this is going to be a left end connector style. Connector styles are used whenever you want to connect two cabinets together. So I'll say OK. All right, now again, this is a one box cabinet, so I'm ready to hit End on the keyboard. And I'm going to accept all of this. And this is a standard base with draw. One draw and one door. Okay, now let's take a look at what we have here. These two styles are designed so that if you have hardware, draw pulls, door pulls, or what have you here, and you pull a draw out, you have a fair amount of clearance. You can change this in the defaults. Right now it's set for 1 3/4 inch. That's a little bit larger than most draw pulls, and it allows, for instance, for you to pull this draw out and not interfere with the draw pull on this draw, and vice versa. So that's what these are for. And of course, you don't know exactly whether these are going to be perfectly level. That depends on the floor and what have you, and how well you've leveled your toe kick. So there's a little left over here just in case there's something you need extra material to account for some unlevel or unevenness. All right, so we have two cabinets in our drawing done. I'm going to do one more cabinet in the base of this type, and then I will draw the rest of them in the base off, not the rest of the cabinets, but the rest of this type offline. So let's just take a look at our reference drawing. I think what I'll do, so I'll draw this cabinet. This one is another one just like these two. I'll draw this one offline. And then I'll come back and draw this cabinet. So let me start with this one. In order to do that, I need a dimension. (104 9/16). That's from this corner to this end here. 104 9/16. So what I'll do now, instead of using this, let's see what happens if we use the story stick. start here, come out here to 104 9/16. Well, hit the Control key twice to get my dimension tool. Hit enter. All right, so now I know where the end point is. I'll come over here and I'm going to choose, whoops, I didn't select a style. I'm going to choose a left end panel because there's going to be nothing else on the other side of this cabinet, so I want to dress it up with a panel. Now I have to go back to my reference drawing for a moment. This cabinet is 38 5/16 wide. Now I can go back to my original or my new drawing. And again, I'll use the dimension tool. And I'll go 38 5/16. And this time I'm going to use a connector, right end connector. Now the reason I use connectors here and here is there's going to be a refrigerator cabinet right here. So I'll say end. Accept the defaults. And this is going to be a standard base with draw. And I think it was one draw and one door. Let's try that. I can always edit it. That doesn't look right. Let's take a quick look at the reference. Again, the reference is a combo, a 3-draw combo. So I can edit this cabinet. I'll accept that, accept that, accept that, and I'll make this a 3-draw combo. There we go. Okay, I'm going to draw the other one offline to save video time. It's just like the two I've drawn so far. And then I'll come back and we'll draw a multi-box cabinet. Okay, I'm back. And while I was away, I did a few things. One is I drew this cabinet as I promised, but the other is I finished up copying or placing all of these construction points so that we don't have to do so much referral back to the original drawing. You know how to use the tape measure tool and construction lines, so spending a lot of time laying these out probably isn't useful. All right, now I want to draw this cabinet down here. Let's just go back to the reference drawing and take a look at it. Let's select this cabinet. We right click on it, go to CabWriter and say select cabinet. Notice that this is a 1-box cabinet, the kitchen sink. This one over here is a 2-box cabinet. What I want to do is I want to attempt to make this a 3-box cabinet and do all of this in here. Plus we'll learn a new tool along the way. So let's go back and do that. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is show you a slight problem. For laying out these lines, I used the tape measure tool in a lot of places, and that can cause you problems. For instance, watch what happens if I go to my tape measure tool, start here, come along this line, notice it says on red axis, so I should be good. I click and I get this error message. It says you must pick a point on a construction point, construction line, vertex, or edge. The problem is that the tape measure tool creates a problem. For instance, if I start from this point here and come out here along the green and click, I got a construction point here. I should be able to draw a style on that line. Guide point, click, on green axis, error. Why is that? Well, the problem is with SketchUp. And let me just demonstrate. This is a construction line. Notice when I hover over it, I get on line. Notice when I hover over this one, I don't get on line. When you use the tape measure tool that way, clicking on a point here and then coming out here and clicking, what you get between these points is called a tracer, not a construction line, even though it looks exactly like a construction line. So what you can do to get around this problem, as soon as I clean up my is you can start on a construction point, go over to a construction point, click, and now there's no problem. I'm going to choose a right end opening. I'm going to go to the other end of the cabinet, click, come to this construction point, click, and choose left end opening. So there's my cabinet. The sink cabinet runs from this point here to this point. So let me draw that in. And again, it says I have to be on a construction point. So I have to come over here to a guide point. Notice what it did. It didn't ask me what kind of style I wanted here. It just placed two dots or two triangles. And the reason is all styles between end styles are connector styles. And they're, I think by default, I think they're 1.5 inches. So you don't have to worry about the width or even selecting the type of style between the end styles. Okay, so this is going to be my sink cabinet here. I want two more boxes. One box here and one box here. I'm going to use a new tool. Remember, if I click twice on the story stick, I got the dimension tool. But what happens if I click once? I get something with a C. Well, that's called the centering tool. So what I could do is I can come to this point, then this point, and what it does is it puts a connector style right in the middle of these two. Now, be careful not to go from this point, the outside point, to this point, the inside point, because then your center style will be off. Let's go and look at our reference drawing. Notice this is going to be a kitchen sink, 2 doors, 2 drawers. This is going to be a standard base with draw, and this one's going to be a standard base with draw. Notice that this style is not centered between these two. Now I'll show you how to fix that in the one we just did. Let's go back. So now I'm ready to hit end. I'm going to accept these. All right, now this is telling me that the cabinet I'm working on is this one. Well, that's the sink. It's underneath the window. So it's a sink base. I want 2 doors and 2 drawers. I could have chosen something else, but that's what I want. Now it wants to know what this is. That's going to be a standard base with drawer. Now it wants to know what this one is. Well, that also is going to be a standard base with drawer. All right, there I go. I have my 3-box cabinet. Now remember, I centered this one using the centering tool, but in reality, if I look at the reference drawing, this is not centered. This is a narrower box than this one. Let's find out what the dimensions are, and then we'll fix this one. This box is 12 13/16. So let's remember that. Go back to our new drawing. 12 13/16. I'm going to write that down. Right now, actually, I want to use the tape measure tool. 14 13/32. Quick arithmetic offline tells me that I have to move that style to the left 1 in 19/32. So let's see if we can do that. Let's edit this cabinet. All right, it's going to start with this style over here. I don't want to do anything with that style. I don't want to do anything with that style. This one, I want to shift to the left 1 in 19/32. And I don't want to do anything with that one. I'll accept this and everything else. And there we go. I now have my new cabinet. It's not centered anymore. It's the appropriate dimension here. And let's just check it out. Well, actually, I can't go here anymore. Those are the original construction points. I'll check it this way. $12 and 13/16. That's what we wanted. Okay, so that's how you edit cabinets, combine them or what have you to make a 3-box cabinet. I think we're done with the base cabinets, except for the island. So I think I'll go offline and create the island, and I'll come back, and then I think because of the length of this video, we'll call it a wrap, and then in segment 3, we'll finish the upper cabinets and see what else we can accomplish. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. And before we leave this segment 2, there's one more thing I want to show you. I have the island in here, and while I'm looking at it in this direction, one of the things I noticed is this toe kick over here sticks out. And why is that? Well, it's because the style that I selected as an inside corner is a blind style. The blind style assumes or expects that you might like to use this area back here. I didn't choose that kind of cabinet, but I could have. Watch what happens if I do. I'm going to edit this cabinet. I'm going to come around here to do it. I'm going to leave the styles the same. I'm going to accept and leave the same all of these attributes. And instead of choosing a standard base with draw, I'm going to choose a blind corner base. And notice what I have. I now have just a standard base, but with an extended cabinet. And if I'm to take the doors off here, you can see that I can get access to that space back in there. But our finished drawing doesn't include that, so I'm going to back up. And leave the drawing as we had it. So there we are. When we come back in segment 3, we'll do all of the upper cabinets and see what else we can accomplish. Until then, have a good day.